Okay, so this program only records for 10 minutes at a time and then it shuts off. Um, I just saved it. You can see it right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next step. That was in paint.net, and now I'm going to move to another open source program which is called Inkscape. We're going to go ahead and open it, and what we're going to do now is switch this to a vector file. So we're pulling up the PNG file from File, Smooth. We want to smooth it as much as possible because who wants blocky? So we're pulling it up, and Inkscape is kind of annoying that it always does that when you pull up a file. Just keep clicking the little button and it'll fix it. So now we're going to select the file. That's that little button right here up in the left hand corner. And now go to Path, and we're going to trace it as a bitmap. Here's a live preview of it. The settings that are on it will probably be just fine. The threshold is at 450. If we reduce that, it'll give a finer bitmap. But this should be just fine. And if you do a higher threshold, it'll actually widen the lines for a stronger one, but I don't think we need it any stronger than it is now because it's a pretty strong line. So I'm going to tell it okay and see how it looks. I think the definition looks really good. I think I'm pretty happy with the way that things are. So what I did was just pull off its bitmap trace. And now I'm going to delete the original because this version is the vectorized version. So we're just going to put it back into the canvas. I'm closing that. And now I'm going to save it as a file, a file that Fusion can recognize. I can save it as either an SVG, which Fusion recognizes, but I like to use DXF files because it just gives an outline, which makes it really easy to work with in Fusion. So we're going to save it as a DXF file, and it's going to ask some questions. These are the settings that I like to use. So now the file is saved. One of the things that I didn't do that I should show you is I'm going to check the size on this file. I like to import files in the size that I'm going to use them in because even though you can adjust the size in Fusion, it's easier to do it in this. So if I go to inches, it's going to show me that right now our image is where it's at selected right now. It's at 7 inches wide and 10 inches high. Now for most stamps, for soap stamps, you really want your width down to about, well, with the height being bigger here, we need to probably go about 3 inches high. Oops, I forgot to lock it. I locked the settings so that it adjusts both at the same time. So we're going to go about 3 inches high, and it'll adjust the other side down to, well, in this case, it did it down to 2 inches. So now is what I'm going to do. Because this left such a big canvas, I'm just going to edit and resize page to selection, and I'm going to resave it in the size that I want it in. So I'm just saving it as a DXF again, and it's going to go over this one. It's going to tell me that it already has one, which is okay. And so we're replacing it. And now we're going to Fusion. This is Autodesk Fusion 360. Like I said, you can get a free license for it as long as you're not, using tons of money. I mean, making tons of money with it. Like you have to make up like $100,000 before you can't use it for free. And Fusion is definitely affected by all the crap that I'm running on this computer because it's usually quicker. So what we're going to do is insert a DXF. You can see that the DXF is right there under Insert. This is the main page of Fusion, as all I did was turn it to the front so that I could have just a flat palette. So insert DXF, it's going to ask me what plane I want to start it in. Toria's looking at me to look at the time. It's been 5 minutes. Okay, so I have 5 more minutes. So I'm going to select the DXF file, and there it is, we made it. And I'm selecting that again, even though it should know. Everything is moving really slow, sorry about that. Like I said, and Fusion really does a hard hit on my computer anyway, because like I said, it's really not optimized for this stuff. So anyway, you can see that the DXF file came in just fine. I set my Fusion up so that it's in inches because I work in inches. You can also set it up as millimeters, but you can see that this, I'm just going to hopefully pan the screen, or not. How about I tell it okay first? You can see that by the sections it's 1, 2, about 3 inches tall, so we're good there. There we go. Okay, so we're working again. What I'm going to do is go ahead and change this into an image that that can be printed. So I need to modify it. Oops, create it. We need to extrude. And I'm going to select this channel right here to extrude. And now for a stamp, I go about 0.2 inches on depth, which is more than enough. Any more than that, and you're going to end up with a really deep cut in your soap if you pounded the whole thing. So I just tell it a distance of 20.20 inches. It's going to say new body, which is fine because it's the only body on the palette right now. So I'm going to tell it okay, and hopefully Tori is still watching the time.
3 minutes.
So there we go. There's our extruded. The only place that is still that hand, and that may cause some problems as a soap stamp. So if I was not doing this just as a demonstration, I would probably stop at this point and go out and maybe lighten up my lines, because that little spot in the hand is going to come out as a blob anyway. It's just not enough definition. So, but for this purpose, I think it's fine. Now is what I'm going to do is sketch the box that we need for a stamp. So I just clicked the rectangle up here over by sketch because it'll give us a 2-point rectangle. And now we just need to go around Bigfoot. So I'm going to start out just a little bit higher than 3 inches and a little bit to the left of his foot. Okay, so it wanted to move me. Okay, I apparently have 2 more minutes. Again, I'm sorry, I'm kind of working with a computer that is overloaded right now, so it's doing all kinds of funky stuff.
Less than a minute.
I have less than a minute now. I'm going to go ahead and pan this so I can see what I'm doing, hopefully. There we go. I'm going to stop the recording and start again. Just a second.